Facts. To answer the question, yes, we are always concerned about crime. Yes, we are always concerned about people in the community and that their houses have been broken into, that their property is being destroyed, that people are stealing from your cars. Yes, these are issues. And we are all concerned. We try and do the best we can. When Mr. Hayes talks about what the budget was 8 years ago or 10 years ago, what it is now, it's because we have police officers and firefighters and we have recreational facilities. Of course, the budget has gone up, so has the community. But we're averaging $100 million a year in construction. Here are the 2011 year-end statistical reports that were presented at the Public Safety Committee in the presence of all of the media and the public. The number of criminal code incidents declined for the third consecutive year. Violent crime down. Crime reduction strategy instrumental in a 31% decrease in property damage cases. That's a crime reduction strategy. That's being proactive, dealing with the situation that it is an issue to the public that we want to try and solve. Robberies, down 45% over the 5-year average. Traffic accidents resulting in injuries decline for the 5th consecutive year. Pedestrian accidents remain a concern. This is the information that was given to us at the Public Safety Committee. If anybody was there, this was a few weeks ago, if anybody was there when we talked about the stats, I was the one that asked the police force to go into every ward and every community in this city and take with you your portable radar and stop the speeding in our communities that are endangering our children. That was done a few weeks ago. That is a result of what I saw on my street. What you see on your street is people driving too quickly, with little children playing in their front yards on their driveways. The police get a lot of criticism. Charles, turn your camera off. I stand by our police force. I stand by this police force. They provide a great level of service. They clear their crimes. I have said publicly, and Mr. LeBlanc knows this, that I disagreed with our police force when they gave a third-party ticket based on a complaint from another citizen. It shouldn't have happened to Charles LeBlanc, and it shouldn't happen to anybody else. I made that clear. However, I do support our Fredericton police force. They work extremely hard. We don't talk a whole lot about the life-saving, about the heroics that take place. We don't talk about what our police officers do in their spare time, coaching hockey teams and being a part of the community. We seem to dwell on whenever there's a problem that all of a sudden it's painted with the whole brush. That's not the case. We've got a great police force. They do serve, they do protect, and they're dealing with people that are not the greatest people in the world to deal with. So as you are going home and perhaps get stopped and they don't seem to be very good, you got to realize who they talk to before you. You got to realize that when they're out on the beat protecting the service and protecting the people of Fredericton, and they are stopping and talking to people that abuse them physically, psychologically, socially, and they spit on them. It is not a pleasant job, and it's difficult to go in and do that job and go home to your families. The police force in this community and every other community deserves the respect and the support of our community. Yes, you're going to find something wrong. Yes, somebody's going to make a mistake. That's human nature. That's who we are. We all do the same thing. But on balance, as I've said in every other debate, I support our police force. We work on crime. We do have the lowest crime rate in the province of New Brunswick. I know people get tired of hearing that because they don't want to compare us to this place or that place. I'm proud of that fact. One of the reasons why people come here, we promote the fact that we have the lowest crime rate in the province. That means a lot to people. So those statistics bear the facts. And they're the latest that we have available. And they came out after Money Sense magazine. So you know what? Next year when Money Sense magazine comes out, we'll be better than number 6. Because we're addressing some of the concerns. Whenever we take criticism, we don't shut it aside.
Well, I guess there are several different things that I'd like to say about this. The first is that we've spent a lot of time kind of building the infrastructure. We've built a couple of community police stations on the south and north sides. But one of the principles of community policing is foot patrols. And I think that that is something that, in talking to people in Fredericton and business owners in the downtown area, is something that's needed. We need to have more foot patrols in the downtown area, particularly during the summer, and particularly as the bars empty out on the weekends. I think that that's something actually that's really important to kind of leveling. You know, people see a police car and they react very differently than they do when they see a police officer who perhaps they've already talked to on another occasion in a social manner, right? So I think that that's something that's really important to foster. I think that's one good idea, for instance, for moving forward on a crime and justice piece. Also, you know, a lot of criminal code offenses might be going down, but one in particular is going up that I think in Fredericton we need to pay really close attention to, and that's sexual harassment and sexual assault. That actually is not going down. It's going up. And I think that this says something about you know, it's really important to live in a city, if you're a woman, to live in a city where you feel comfortable walking home after dark. And not all women in the city that I've talked to feel comfortable walking home alone after dark. That's something I think that needs to be worked on. So part of that, I think, is the city drawing attention to, drawing awareness to sexual harassment. And I think, you know, and I've done this in the university as well, drawing attention as a man, drawing attention to other men, that we need to be talking about sexual assault. Because most of the sexual assault is men against women. So what is it that happens in our culture, you know, that makes it possible for so many men to be engaged in antisocial activities? I don't think it's just a matter of deviant individuals. Oftentimes, and you know, people will know from their own experience, right? Oftentimes, it's people being in situations where they're reading them the way that they think the culture is you know, that they think they're supposed to be reading it in a particular way, and they're acting inappropriately, right? So, so that I think is a really important piece of dealing with crime. Graffiti and vandalism, which is something that I've been hearing a lot about. You know, I was talking to a neighbor of mine, a friend of mine, the other day, who was saying, you know, I'm really, he's somebody else who moved here from away, and he said, you know, I'm really impressed by the low-level vandalism that seems to be all over the downtown Platte and and parts of the north side, right? Why is that? Why is there so much low-level vandalism? People knocking over post office boxes and putting graffiti on people's houses and cars. This doesn't make any sense, right? I think that there are a couple of things that we need to do. One side is enforcement, but another side is engaging youth in the community and finding out, well, why are you doing it, right? Why are you doing this? What spaces can we provide? How can we engage you differently? How can we build spaces in the city that will engage young people in, let's say, socially constructive activity instead of socially destructive activity? Perhaps this low-level vandalism is a symptom of something else in our community, right? The fact that there aren't enough spaces for certain kids to express themselves. I was in Officer Square the other day talking to some kids who were biking up and down. They had taken one of the park benches. They said it wasn't them, but probably, well, who knows? But they were riding on the bench, so they were doing something that, you know, didn't seem entirely appropriate. But they don't have any other place to do that. They were having a grand old time. Why, you know, Mr. Woodside last night talked about the fact that there was a park for this type of activity on Queen Street before I got here, but there isn't one now, unless you count Officer Square, and the infrastructure is not there. So maybe there should be something there. In terms of traffic violations, you know, one thing that the city could really use more of is speed bumps in certain neighborhoods to calm traffic. Traffic calming needs to be an important issue as well.